With Brutal Legend, the folks at Double Fine make it clear that they have a real reverence for the gleaming, violent, sexy, and, well, brutal power fantasy that a wicked Judas Priest album cover might inspire in a 13-year-old boy. Much of Brutal Legend's strong sense of humor comes from taking all the demonic imagery, S&M gear, hot rod fetishism, closeted druidic fixations, and ultra-macho barbarian warriors, and blowing it all out to its logical and absurd extreme. This is far and away Brutal Legend's biggest strength, its ability to be both giddily ridiculous and fist-pumpingly badass, often in the very same moment. The gameplay, on the other hand, seems like a real odd fit for the subject matter. Brutal Legend goes in several different directions at once, trying to be a third-person action-adventure game, an exploration-based open-world driving game, and an action-oriented real-time strategy game all at once. Points are given for Brutal Legend's gameplay ambitions, and while it's never out-and-out bad, I often felt like I was tolerating the gameplay so I could savor the rich atmosphere and fast wit that carries it.
I can fix anything, except that.
Metal is dead.
Brutal Legend tells the story of legendary roadie Eddie Riggs and his adventures in a mythical land that is essentially a heavy metal album cover come to life. Here, Riggs uses his roadie skills to start a revolution against the behorned Emperor Daviculus and his general, the lycra and leopard print-clad glam rocker Lion White. The greatest joy I got out of Brutal Legend came from watching Eddie Riggs calmly acclimate to a foreign land that's still weirdly familiar to him during the first few hours of the game. Brutal Legend definitely gets a little bit distracted by its own very dense and very metal mythology as it goes on, but the story manages to stay engaging throughout.
Time to break the chains!
Besides Jack Black, the game's voice cast is packed with heavy metal luminaries, including Ozzy Osbourne as the game's merchant and Motorhead frontman Lemmy Kilmister as the shaman-type character called the Killmaster.
So, you want to help me fight demons and stuff?
Nah, I'm not a fighter. I'm more of, what shall we say, a keeper of timeless secrets, that's all. Prove yourself worthy. Maybe I'll share some with you.
The voice work is consistently solid, with Jack Black showing a surprising amount of restraint, though a fair amount of the credit is due to the game's animations for bringing all of the characters to life. I wouldn't call anything about Brutal Legend subtle, but there's an expressive quality to the meaty, caricatured faces in the game that really helps sell the dialogue. The game initially starts off resembling a third-person action-adventure game, with Riggs cutting down evil druids and freaky nun demons with his oversized battle axe and his trusty guitar Clementine, the latter of which shoots bolts of lightning at enemies. It's not long before Eddie assembles a Big Daddy Roth-looking hot rod that you can use to travel from one mission to the next and to generally explore the world as you please. As stunning and full of detail as the world is, the game doesn't provide much motivation to go out and explore it. There are a number of side missions which will earn you money that you can use to upgrade your ride, your axe, and your guitar, but ambushing enemy troops and checkpoint racing AI opponents gets monotonous fast.
I'm starting to see the problem.
The game eventually grants you the ability to command other troops around with your D-pad, with everything leading up to the stage shows, at which point Brutal Legend becomes a full-blown RTS. It's a pretty streamlined system that still features basic resource management and tech tree upgrades, and there's an action element to it as well, allowing you to alternate between commanding your troops and going into the fray yourself. The game introduces new mechanics and units to the stage battles all the way to the very end, but I found that the more involved the gameplay became, the less fun the overall experience was. Now, real-time strategy is a genre that has struggled more than any other to adapt to the limitations of console controls, and Brutal Legend is not the game to crack that particular code. I just felt like the controller couldn't quite keep up with the relatively frantic pace of the action, and trying to juggle the third-person action and real-time strategy at the same time was just a struggle.
Victory!
In a way, the rather brief single-player game almost feels like a lengthy tutorial for the multiplayer, which breaks the RTS element out onto its own. There's a good variety of maps and 3 different factions that you can play online with, But the same fundamental issues I have with the single-player stage battle still apply here. And without the story to hook me in, I didn't feel terribly compelled to revisit it.
Oh, come on! Fucking sick of you guys!
Brutal Legend is an intense, unique, and fairly bumpy ride. One that puts developer Double Fine's strengths and weaknesses in pretty sharp relief. Like most teenage metalheads, this game has got issues. But if you're willing to look past some uneven gameplay, Brutal Legend will rock you hard.